we bought this car wash and storage facility. We closed within 7 months. It happened fast. After 2021, which we had like basically a full fiscal year, my brother and I looked over the financials and we're like, if we sold both of these right now, how much money would we walk away with? And like, it was more money than I made at my job in 6 years. And I was like, holy crap. I did this in like 18 months.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for taking a minute here to listen to what I have to tell you about Gobundance membership. If you've been listening to this podcast and listening to me for any length of time, you know that Gobundance is the one catalyst to me changing my life drastically at the age of 40 plus. So for many of us out there, men and women, we struggle day to day being lone wolves in our own community, trying to figure out how do we get unstuck. I can tell you so many conversations I had with people where they couldn't resonate with me and I couldn't resonate with them. And the moment I joined Gobundance, and I've made a lot of money as a member of Gobundance, but the return that I can't calculate is the ability to show up as my authentic self and celebrate my ambitions and my achievements, but also be vulnerable and clear about my losses and my screw-ups. Joining Gobundance has given me the ability to have all of that, to have the foundation on which I can build the kind of life I want to. It's how I quit my job. It's how I moved to the Dominican Republic. It's how I have the adventures I do right now. It's how I got this podcast. It's how I founded Gobundance Emerge. It's how I partner with Quantum Capital. All of it is thanks to my investment in me and finding this community of entrepreneurial people that are driven to be the best versions of themselves. As we call it, the tribe for healthy, wealthy, generous people who choose to live epic lives. If you're listening and haven't become a member, you're sitting on the sidelines and watching life pass you by when you have the chance to invest in yourself, in your community, in your tribe, and drive your life to the next level before, God, I'm 44. I mean, it went so fast. I've got so much I want to do, but time is compressing on me. This has shortened my time horizon to where I'm trying to get to, and it can for you as well. Check out Gobundance.com, fill out an application. If you want to go directly to the Gobundance Women's side, if you're $1 million+ in net worth and a female, go to GobundanceWomen.com. And if you're at that $0 to $2 million mark for a man or $0 to $1 million mark for a woman, check out GobundanceEmerge.com. Sign up and hang out with me. I run that community like it's my life. I would love to have you a part of that, and we have given an amazing opportunity at $500 a month or $5,000 for the year to be part of a community that gets immense value from Gobundance members on a weekly basis through our millionaire case studies and everything else. Join one of these Gobundance communities, the one that's right for you. Get in the room that lets you look up at the next level so that you can achieve what you're trying to in this lifetime. Gobundance.com, GobundanceWomen.com, GobundanceEmerge.com. Check us out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is a member profile with Dan Schiermeyer, who is a Gobundance member, entrepreneur, investor, great all-around guy. Actually he's done all the Gobundance stuff. Started in Emerge, went to what was then Ascend, and now is a Gobundance member. Dan, brother, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Excited to talk.
I don't know if I've ever pronounced your name out loud. Did I say it right?
No, Schiermeyer.
Schiermeyer.
I've heard every variation of it, so it's all good.
I'll bet. It's like 18 syllables. So
yeah. It's German.
It's German. That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, let's start with a little backstory. So, where you're from and how did you get to where you are today?
Cool. Yeah. So I grew up in Vermont. I was born and raised up there. Went to school in Rochester, New York. I went to RIT for manufacturing engineering. Got out, graduated college in 2012, worked in big corporate aerospace for 5 years. Hated corporate, had a quarter life crisis and quit. I skydived for fun, so I just kind of did that on the side. And then ended up moving to North Carolina for a job with a NASCAR team, which was pretty awesome. I did that for 6 years. After I moved down here, I kind of fell into real estate, got a couple single family rentals, kind of did the house hacking thing, and then ended up with a car wash and a storage facility. Saw the growth in commercials, so I've been focusing on that. I was able to leave my W-2 last year on July 1st. So down in Charlotte, North Carolina now. Just north.
Where was the W-2, the NASCAR gig?
Yep.
What were you doing with the NASCAR thing? What was that? Were you like a crew guy?
No, so I was a manufacturing engineer, which is my background. So the bigger teams all have their own production in-house. So prior to 2 years ago, they were building 85% of the car in-house. So big machine shop, welding fabrication groups. They built the chassis in-house. So I kind of took some of that corporate stuff that I had and brought it to the NASCAR team for the production. So kind of collecting more data, actually getting labor hours and cost into the procedures so you could then go and pull data out and look at the manufacturing side of it as a whole.
Wow. Did you work with, was I know there's like levels, like Bush and whatever. Did you
Yeah,
work with, what did you work with?
the Cup Series and Xfinity. So our shop made stuff for both series, which was the top series, which is the Cup, and then the Xfinity Series, which is like the minor leagues.
So wait,
Uh,
so did you, is Xfinity old Bush? Am I dating myself?
yeah, it was the Monster Energy Cup Series, and then I forget what it was when I first started. I started in 2016, but now it's just called the NASCAR Cup Series, and
NASCAR
then
Cup Series is the top.
yep, and then now the Xfinity Series is the next one down, and then there's a Truck Series below that.
All right. So were you working for one team or were you working for multiple? How did that work?
So I worked for Joe Gibbs Racing, and Joe Gibbs Racing had
Oh,
four drivers. So they had four teams in Cup, and Xfinity changed. It was either three or four drivers on that side. So there's like individual teams under the organization.
is there any really cool stories from being in? I mean, I'm assuming you had some access or some, I don't know,
Yeah,
behind the scenes stuff.
the coolest story I have is I bike for fun as well, and I got to go to one race with the team just to kind of see what happens at the track and just have a better understanding of what happens on race day. And I was able to bring a bike out on the truck and went on a bike ride with like Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, a bunch of drivers that are like multi-time champions, which was pretty cool. I mean, everybody knows Dale Earnhardt, even if they
Yeah.
don't really know NASCAR. So going on a ride with Dale Earnhardt Jr. was pretty cool.
That's incredible, man. That's amazing. I love that. I didn't know that. I didn't know about the NASCAR part of it. I knew about you getting, I mean, I guess at the time that we met, you were focused forward on entrepreneurial endeavors. And, I quit my W 2. It doesn't matter what the W 2 was, right? It's
Yeah,
just like, I'm going this way, not that way. So all I knew was you had a W 2 that you left and that you had invested in some real estate and got into the car wash end of it. But I guess I didn't know it was kind of a neat W 2 in so in
yeah,
many ways,
yeah.
right?
It's basically working for a professional sports team. What a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know that like the most viewed sports on TV are football, then NASCAR, and then like fourfold underneath that is basketball. So it's still one of the most viewed sports.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. NASCAR's got a cult following, man. It's
Yeah,
huge. It is huge. All right. When you left your job, when was that?
July 1st last year.
July 1st, 2022. What was the portfolio of investments that you had at that point? Just kind of, you said two single families and a car wash?
Yeah, so I had one single family townhouse, a duplex, and then my primary residence, and then a self service car wash with an in bay automatic and a self storage facility.
Self service car wash and a self storage facility. You own all of this yourself.
My brother and I are partners on the car wash and the storage facility, but the rentals are all my own.
What was the pivot point for you to leave? Was it car wash? Like, what was the financial sort of like, yeah, start there.
So when we bought the car wash and we bought this car wash in the storage facility, we closed within 7 months. So it happened fast. Um, but then I think after 2021, which we had like basically a full fiscal year, my brother and I looked over the financials and we're like, if we sold both of these right now, how much money would we walk away with? And each of us, it was more money than I made at my job in 6 years. And I was like, holy crap.
Wow.
So just seeing the value that we were able to create, I was like, I did this in like 18 months. The rental portfolio was over like 4 years, but the two commercial businesses, I was like, holy crap. And then, I mean, I'm young. I'm 34. I was 33 at the time, single. So like, I don't cost that much to live. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it right now because it's the perfect time. Had plenty of reserves, had like 10 months of reserves. Uh, and I knew I would regret it if I never tried it. So
Wow, man. And I know at a certain point, I think the way you talked about joining GoBundance, because you were in Emerge, we'll cover that, was I guess I can afford to do it. Like I didn't realize like you wanted to give yourself time after the W-2 and see, and you're like, yeah, actually it just sort of keeps going. Can you explain that? Like what happened there? Like what was the
yeah, it was like so when we first started the businesses, we didn't really take money out of them. We were just working on projects and improving them. And then it got to a point where I'm like, I don't really need to spend that much more money on the business. I know what they cost. So I was like, we can actually start taking money out of it. So then I was seeing how much money I had for my rental portfolio and those, and I was like, I could live off of that for the time being. But it's still that mental block. Like you're one of the ones that helped. Like, what do you do for health insurance? Which there's plenty of options out there. And then the other part is like some of the coaching that was in Ascend was the mental block of like, oh, I'm going to run out of money. I'm going to go broke. I'm not going to be able to do it. So it was coming over that. And I forgot who I spoke with, but they're like, literally write out the worst case scenario of what would happen. It's like, I get fat, I stop exercising, get addicted to drugs, like lose all my money. It's like, what are the chances of that happening? Especially being around a community like this. So that was part of the barrier. And then the last thing was, is I was really working on taking advantage of my W-2. So trying to get some refinances and stuff in order. So once I got those, basically we refinanced the car wash, and the day that we had a closing said I put my notice in.
Amazing. I love that. That's incredible. I love your story. I love every bit of it. I love being there for it. Before we dive into the GoBundance, the kind of the member questions, because you came up through what was then Emerge and Ascend, and we consolidated it down to just be Emerge now, just easier
Yep.
And cleaner. How did you find it, and what was the advantage to being in that group before you got to the Millionaires Club, if you will, of GoBundance Elite and so on?
Yeah. So I heard about GoBundance a couple of years back, and I think it was from Bigger Pockets. I think David Osborne and Pat Hyburn were at like some conference, and they put it as a Bigger Pockets episode. And I liked the part of the pillars, so it wasn't all about making money. It's like, let's focus on health, relationships, family, all those things. So I had been listening to the old Tribe of Millionaires podcast, the GoBundance that Pat Hyburn did, for years. I would just listen to it on road trips, and I think it must have been when you started taking over the podcast, they started launching the Emerge thing, and it was the
Yep.
12-week course. And I was like, at that point in my career, I was just doing. I was like, I don't know why I'm doing or what I'm doing it for. So the way the program was pitched, I was like, that's exactly what I need right now. And whatever it cost, it was totally worth it. But the homework assignments that we had to do, and I really dove into those, like the passion, where you see your vision in a few years, all that stuff. Like it was perfect timing for me. And then you realize all these other people are doing the same thing, seeing the benefit they're getting out of it. So it was perfect timing for me. And then everybody has their friend groups, but not everybody's doing the same. So you're being around those like-minded people doing similar stuff, and seeing that there's different avenues of life than just working a corporate job for your whole career.
100%. I love it, Ben. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that. Let's dive into these questions. So we're going to start with a couple of questions on the GoBundance pillars, which I do this every episode now, but I should have it like pre-recorded, but I'll go through them. It's good for me. It tests me. Horizontal income, bucket list adventure, authentic relationships, extreme accountability, genuine contribution, and age-defying health. Those are the 6 pillars. In which one of those 6 are you crushing it right now?
I would definitely say the bucket list adventures. I skydive for fun, taking a bunch of trips. I've been to Puerto Rico and Florida this year to jump. I'm going to Europe in 2 weeks for 3 weeks just to go. I'm going to visit family in Germany, and then I'm going skydiving in Slovenia. I go mountain biking all the time, wake surfing, stuff like that. So I feel like I'm doing pretty well on that. And then I also feel like my authentic relationships are pretty good. Have a pretty good friend group outside of GoBundance that we stay in pretty good contact, which has been good. I've been able to kind of push some accountability stuff on them. And then just the people that I've met in GoBundance, like I still attend my Ascend pod, and I have 2 pods in GoBundance, so it's really good.
And I'm up to 3 now too. I have a podcasters pod, and then I have 2 other pods that I've had. I don't know. They serve in different ways. It's just
Exactly.
it's a good touch in each way. But got it. In which GoBundance pillar could you use more support and/or accountability?
I put genuine contribution. As I'm still like growing my nest egg, it's one of the ones that's harder to like give financial contribution for me at this time. Definitely try to give back in like just experience, being on podcasts, talking at real estate meetups. That's the way I've been trying to give back now, but I know there's more I could do there. And then still growing that horizontal income. That's another one. That comes with time, and you see it with people. Nobody grows their $10 million real estate portfolio overnight. It takes time, which I see, but it's something that I'm definitely still working on.
Well, on that point, I meant to ask you earlier, but this is a good pivot point. We could talk about contribution as well. But you were in the single family duplex or a townhouse duplex, and then you go car wash self storage. Can you talk about why car wash? Let's start with that.
So it all happened because I was talking about real estate just from doing my single families. I was like, this is a great way to grow a portfolio. This will be my retirement. And then my brother is a professional dirt bike mechanic, and he knows some riders that have done well that have invested in car washes. So a local car wash came for sale. He saw it, was like, oh, we got to figure out how to buy this thing. So it was literally a broker sign on the side of the road next to the sign. And then we just started looking into it. My brother and I inherited a house that was paid off. So we had equity there that we could put towards it, and just called the broker and was like, hey, this is our situation. Both W-2 jobs, both great credit. This is how we would fund it. Can we even do it? And he's like, yeah, I think so. I'll put you in touch with a lender. Talk to the lender, same thing. He's like, yeah, we should be able to fund that. No problem. And then luckily the owners that were selling it were awesome. We jumped on a call, ran through the financials with them, asked them some questions, and then they met us on site and showed us. Because the big thing is, I didn't want to buy a job, so I didn't want to work a full W-2 and be doing that all the time. So I wanted to know it was something I could do on the side, and it wasn't going to consume all my time. So we're like, yeah, we think we can do that. Saw a lot of room for improvement, and that's how we jumped into the car wash. And then 2 weeks after we closed, the broker sent us a self-storage facility, and I was like, there's no way. I just got the biggest loan of my life. There's no way I could do another deal, and kind of pushed it to the side. And then AJ Osborne, I think, was on Bigger Pockets and was talking self-storage, and I was like, that sounds way easier than the car wash. So I started consuming all his content, read his book, listened to his podcast. He had a lender on, called the lender after, because he gave out his contact information, had a conversation with him. And I told him, I was like, I just got the biggest loan of my life. Can I even do this? And he's like, yeah, you can get up to $5 million in SBA loans. I was like, oh, all right. So that just kind of dug us into the self-storage. And we started looking at it in November and closed in May of 21. So it took some time, but we were able to get it and create great value there. So
How many units on the storage unit?
it's 138. It's about 18,000 square feet, and
Wow.
there's land to expand, which we're working on.
Very nice. So to further horizontal income, is it expanding on what you have, or are you looking to expand to more storage or more car washes or whatever?
Both. Yeah.
Oh,
So our current site has land. We're adding a parking expansion, trying to purchase an adjacent lot, which would allow us to expand even more. So building more on our site, there's still a ton of value there. And then looking at other facilities, talking to other owners, just trying to find it. Obviously, self-storage is blown up, so
yeah.
everybody and their mother wants it. But kind of pivoted back towards looking at car washes as well. I think they're a little more intimidating,
Why?
just because.
Why? Yeah. Why?
So the self-service, there's just a lot of equipment. So there's stuff that can break. So like storage is easy, especially if it's outdoor drive up. There's no water bill. There's nothing. With the car wash, there's a hose in every bay or multiple things that can break. There's electronics. There's all the mechanical stuff in the equipment room. So that, I think, it makes it more intimidating, or the numbers don't work when you have to hire a full-time maintenance guy. So my brother and I manage it, and we can do most of the work right now. So that allowed us to do it well. And now I see the same thing. I was going to scale storage so that I could hire an operator to do the day-to-day. Could do the same thing with a car wash. So if I can get another car wash, then there'd be enough cash flow to have a part-time like mechanic, somebody that could help us
So
out.
this is just, these are like 4 or 5 bays with the the big wand that you spray with the
Yep.
soap thing, and that's what they.
Yep. And then, yeah, so we have 5 bays of that, and then one bay it's basically an in-bay automatic. So you drive in and the machine moves around your car, and
The
then you go out.
touchless, they call it, or whatever, like a
Yep.
touchless car wash.
Yep.
You don't have the thing where like they're scrubbing it while you go through the long,
No,
the multiple things. My kids love that. So
no.
like where you go through the
Yeah.
machine and they're spraying it and stuff, like you go in, this machine kind of wraps around it and sprays it and does all the things, and then you drive out.
Yep, pretty much. But so with the big tunnels, those businesses require employees because you have to have the
Right.
guys scrubbing it, and they're usually only open for whatever time frame. We're open 24 hours. We don't have any real employees. It's just us kind of checking trash, spraying out dirty bays, making sure everything's functioning,
How
and a couple
often?
people.
Is it a day a week that you go there? 2 days a week, every night?
Because it's so local, we go by pretty much every day. Somebody goes by, um, and I'm working on hiring somebody like a college kid or somebody that can go do more of that, so I can more focus on the business instead of be in it. But it's also just the location of ours. We're in a nice town. So we really pride ourselves on keeping it clean and making sure everything's functioning, which makes
Wow.
it easier because then customers are happier. So you don't
Yeah,
have to deal with people getting mad and refunding and stuff.
that makes sense. I love that. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's flip to the other side. In what, I'm sorry, we already did that. Where in your life are you potentially flirting with disaster?
Um, that one was a little tougher to answer. I don't feel like any part of my life is like close to disaster, but you probably know this with like a million things going on. I feel cluttered a lot. Like you get mail, like just stuff everywhere. You like kind of lose train of thought. So just trying to stay organized, which I've gotten a lot better at, like having a planner, writing stuff out. So that way you're staying on top of all the projects. But even, man, just managing email and when you have multiple businesses, there's just so many things going on. So making sure I'm staying on top of it, which I feel like I'm doing all right. But then at times I also feel super overwhelmed and I'm like, shit, I forgot to do this. And so
I haven't met anybody that's figured that out though. Even, you know what I mean? Like you talk about AJ Osborne, he's a GoBundance guy. Have you met him yet or no?
Yeah, I've been to his conference twice.
AJ's an
I was
amazing
on
guy and he's super, super like efficient and smart and all of that. But um, I'm sure if you were to, if you, and I have asked him, he was on the podcast, you know, he's a mess in his mind. Like, oh, dude, I text and email, like, we're all over the place. It's, to your point, I like the point about flirting. Flirting with disaster is such a heavy question, but it's designed to sort of, you know, make you think. But that is it. Like, what if I miss that one email, or what if I do something that creates this, or you know, a tax bill, whatever it might be, right? Like you're
yeah,
looking past. That's the flirting with disaster part of it. But I haven't met anybody. I'm sure maybe somebody's out there. Somebody should comment in the comments on the YouTube video if you have. But I haven't met anybody that's figured that out. Have you?
yeah. No, and I feel like that's part of it. Like if you don't have anything going on, then you're just bored. So it it keeps you on your toes,
Right.
and you're always improving. It's like the gap in the game. You feel like you're like way behind because you're not there yet. But then you sit back and actually look at what you've done, and you're like, wow, that actually come a long way.
Man. All right. How about a specific way, story, whatever it might be, that GoBundance has impacted your life?
So I went to I think it was the first or second event, the Ascend event in Austin.
First one.
Uh, yeah, it was a great event. Met a lot of people, met one of the guys in my pod, um, but just met a bunch of cool people there. And then one of the guys there was like, oh, I'm going to host my own mastermind in Montana. We're going to go snowboarding and then do some vision planning and stuff. So met a cool guy there, and then that's transitioned into another couple guys that do another little small mastermind. So now I have this group of like 25 guys that we chat all the time, all kind of different areas of life. But it's like if I ever have questions, you can always post it in GoBundance. But having like a group of people that I can go talk to and be like, hey, I have this issue, a loan issue, whatever, uh, or just trying to talk through something, I feel like that's been huge.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, agreed. Did that group just meet? Did you just meet with them?
Yeah, we just went to
Awesome.
Nashville.
Nashville. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a lot of
Nashville.
guys. David, I saw in there, real. I can remember last
Yep,
name I'm bad with. Lubin was in there.
yep.
Cody Caswell, I think, right?
Yep. Yep. So yeah, we all met. There was about I think 25 of us.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was an
cool.
awesome event.
That's really cool. That's what it's about, man. Building your web, building your network. So I love that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a new or prospective member of GoBundance?
Um. So it's like people say your network is your net worth. Having these people around you is huge, and if you don't have a group like that, I feel like GoBundance is a great place to start. Um, I mean, if you don't know anything about it, just listen to this podcast. Like I feel like this is a great way just to see what's going on in there. You interview so many good members, and you can hear that money isn't everything they're doing. They're really focusing on bucket list adventures, health, family. Um, yeah, I would say it's a great place to be, and it's only going to elevate your life.
What advice would you give to somebody who is currently or thinking about going into Emerge, which again, Emerge Ascend is just Emerge, just for those that are hearing the different terms. So just Emerge, GoBundance Emerge. What advice would you give to those folks to leverage that to eventually get to GoBundance?
So it's a great for me is a great place to like really kind of get your life like look where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years. That's what I really liked about the Emerge. That if you have time and you can focus on doing those assignments and then being around the group of people that's crushing it and working on similar things, like it's only going to elevate your life. You're going to have a much more clear direction of where you want to go. So I love the Emerge program. I thought it was awesome. And for me, it was right place, right time. But I think anybody should go through that 8 week course. If you put 8 weeks, or is it 8 weeks now or 12?
Eight now. Yeah, yeah. We consolidated
Yeah.
to eight.
So
Yep.
if you dedicate time to that and you're around all those people and you get to jump on calls, it just broadens your perspective of what's possible.
Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. It's funny. We've seen that a lot with people that go through that is, they start with like, all right, well, what's the outcome? Because it's not by the end of this, you will have built an Amazon store that does 5,000 in cash flow, right? It's not that kind of course. Or learn how to, what's Paul Xavier's thing? How to build a course in 30 days, or
Yeah.
the 14-day photo. What is it? Do you know the other one that he has? 14-day something.
It's a bunch of content creation stuff, but I
Right.
forget exactly what it
But
is.
it's very specific with like a tangible outcome, if you will. Whereas this is designed more like you said, well, where do you want to go? How are you going to execute that? And then how do you leverage community to get you there? And then you kind of put that stuff in practice as you're around people in what was Ascend and now we just call it Emerge. That's what it's designed to be. And it's been iterations and everything else, but I feel really good about where we're going right now. And you're one of them. We're up to, I think it's 50 people that have gone through Emerge Ascend or Emerge, whatever, and have gone on to Gobundance or Gobundance Women, which is really exciting for me. Just because, again, you were there from the very. Were you in the first class?
No, I think I was the second.
Okay, but you were early on. Where I mean, I quit my job over this. I was like, if I could help people do this and feel this outcome, like, oh my god, this is where I want to spend my time. So
Yeah.
it's incredible. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you want to?
No, I was just gonna say like it just you see what's out there and it really just helps you think bigger.
Absolutely. All right, let's wrap up with a question from the Gobundance card game. I got two here. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, wait a minute. It just flipped on me. Let me do this here. Do it this way. Let's do this one. Ace of Diamonds. What is the weirdest thing you have ever seen?
Whew.
It's the one I don't
Man.
prepare anybody for. The Gobundance card
Yeah.
game.
The weirdest thing I've ever seen. Something that comes to my head is actually seeing a car accident happen in front of me. Like pulled up to a red light. So the way I was going was stopped and a car was coming the other way and a car just T-boned somebody and it was right in front of me. So I just saw the car like tilt up and then come back down. And I don't know that many people have actually seen an accident happen right in front of them. I'm sure they've driven by them. But yeah, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's violent, man. I that's what I did for 20 years. I was a claims guy, right? Insurance claims guy. And you dissect that accident afterwards. You take these long ass statements from people and asking them all these questions. And I remember some people would get, when I was an adjuster, they would get upset. Like, I mean, how many questions? I'm like, listen, I get it. Like, this is a 4-second, 2-second, split-second thing that we're taking 20 minutes to dissect. But there's so many layers to it. And after the fact, you're questioning this, that, and the other. But when it happens, it's violent, it's fast. And like you said, you don't realize you get T-bone, man. You might tip over,
Yeah. And it was literally, I was the first car at the light. So like, I was just kind of, you're in a daze at a red light and now a car's like tipped up in front of you. You're like, holy crap, what just happened?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you the other side of this card because I was between the two. So I'll just ask you the other ones. The Ace of Diamonds still. What are some things that are okay to do occasionally, but not okay to do every day? That's a hard ass question. Some things that are okay to do occasionally, but not okay to do every day. The 12-year-old in me has an answer to that, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like focusing on health and stuff, it's not probably okay to go out with your buddies and drink every day. But it's okay to do once in a while.
That's true. Yeah. That's a way more mature answer than I had in my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm terrible with on the spot answering. So
you're doing great, man. That's incredible. I love that. Let's do this. Where can people learn more about you, hear more about you, follow up with you, connect with you, whatever it is you want to leave folks with?
Anybody can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Free Fly Kid, and you'll see why. I jump out of planes, so I post a lot of that fun stuff. People can email me. It's just my name, dan.schiermeyer@gmail.com. Happy to talk to anybody.
Yep. We'll definitely drop that in the show notes because I don't think I struggled. Like, how do I spell this again? Is there an E there? No, it's just an I first. So Gotcha, brother. I appreciate you doing this. Thanks for jumping on and adding a ton of value. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.